Head kohalolijad, loodan, et lõunavaheaeg oli piisavalt pikk ja toitev ja saame edasi minna vaimutoiduga. Meie konverentsi 3. sessioon on pühendatud põhiseaduslikkuse kohtulikule järelevalvele. Enne konkreetsete esinejate juurde minekut ma teen hästi lühikese ülevaate meie Eesti põhiseaduslikkuse kohtuliku järelevalve arengust. Kaasaegsed, arenenud, tsiviliseeritud, demokraatlikud riigid on üles ehitatud mitmetele sajandite jooksul kujunenud ja end õigustanud printsiipidele, aluspõhimõtetele ja protseduuridele. Üks nendest kesksetest protseduuridest, aluspõhimõtetest on ka võimude lahusus, tasakaalustatus ja vastastikune kontroll, checks and balances. Seda põhimõtet on järginud ka Eesti Vabariigi 1992. aasta põhiseadus. Et põhiseaduslikkus oleks riigivõimu teostamisel tagatud, nägi põhiseadus esmakordselt meie ajaloos ette, et riigi kõrgem kohus, Riigikohus, on ühtlasi ka põhiseaduslikkuse järelevalve kohus. Maailmas on põhiseaduslikkuse kohtulikku järelevalvet harrastatud paljudes riikides ja tänasel hetkel on umbes 65 eraldiseisvat konstitutsioonikohut nii Euroopas kui ka väljaspool Euroopas mujal maailmas. Meie pidime alustama 1993. aastal selles osas nullist. Eesti esimene põhiseaduslikkuse kohtuliku järelevalve seadus võeti vastu 24. mail 1993. aastal ning esimene põhiseadusliku kohtuliku järelevalve otsus sündis 22. juunil 1993. aastal ja see oli nõndanimetatud riigipitsati vaidlus. Järgnesid Narva ja Sillamäe nõndanimetatud referendumite otsused ja paljud teised. Põhiseaduse kohtuliku järelevalve seaduse uus versioon, täna kehtiv versioon, võeti vastu 13. märtsil 2002. Selles seaduses on aja jooksul tehtud 13 erinevat muudatust ja täiendust. Riigikohtu asjakohasest andmebaasist leidsin, et kogu umbes 30 aasta jooksul on tehtud Riigikohtus enam kui 650 põhiseaduse kohtuliku järelevalvega seotud otsustust, nii protseduurilist otsust kui ka sisulist otsust. Seega võiks arvata, et kogemust on. Kuid kas see meie tänane süsteem on piisav ja ehk on seal ruumi parandada midagi, sellepärast ongi kokku kutsutud see paneel. Me oleme endiselt arengufaasis ja varitseb oht kinnistuda sisse tallatud radadesse. Meie süsteem Eestis ei ole kaugeltki ammendanud oma arenguvõimalusi, on arenguruumi ja selleks, et edasi minna, ennast võrrelda ja otsustusi teha, on igati asjakohane tundma õppida ka naabrite kogemusi. Kui hästi laia pintsliga tõmmata, siis meil ei ole näiteks individuaalkaebuste võimalust ega ka parlamendi vähemuse õigust pöörduda konstitutsioonikohtusse. Mõlemad toimimisviisid on paljudes Euroopa riikides tunnustatud ja kasutusel. Ka meie Riigikohtu sisene põhiseaduskohtu järelevalve asjade lahendamise vorm ja protseduur vajab ehk uut mõtestamist ja korraldamist. Et eelviidatud teemadel mõtteid vahetada, tulevad järgnevalt esitamisele 3 ettekannet, 2 meie Eesti kolleegidelt ja 1 Läti kolleegilt Läti konstitutsioonikohtust. Kahjuks pidi meie algselt kokku lepitud ja päevakorda kantud Anita Roodina kaalukatel perekondlikel põhjustel loobuma ja tema kolleeg Jānis Neimanis oli valmis teda asendama. Ja väga suur tänu temale selle eest ja ma annaksingi kõigepealt sõna siis Jānis Neimanisele ja edasi tuleb siis Eestist Ivo Pilving ja Martin Triipan. Ja palun siis ettekandjad jälgida meie väljakujunenud päevakorda ehk siis saada hakkama umbes 25 minutiga. Aitäh. Nii, Jānis, palun.
So, thank you very much. My topic will be about the constitutional complaint in Latvia. The constitutional complaint in Latvia was introduced in 2001, so we have 22 years of experience. When I think about this topic, should I present to you? I will present it from both sides, because I am not only a judge who deals with constitutional complaints, but I was also on the other side, I was also an applicant who submitted the constitutional complaint, who stand before the constitutional court as an applicant dealing with this constitutional complaint, and that I did twice. So first of all, my experience as an applicant. Let's look from this side. So I was, and also I am, a judge, professional judge of the Supreme Court in Administrative Law Chamber, dealing with administrative law, and in 2017 I started in Constitutional Court as a judge for 10 years term there. And when I was a professional judge in the Supreme Court, I came in 2008. I was an attorney at law. I started my judge career. And there is a ban in Latvia who prohibits that a judge may join a political party as a member of political party. And I was very active in that time, have good connections with Austrian colleagues, with German colleagues, also Swedish colleagues, and I saw that in those countries nothing bad is happening that a judge could be a member of political party. So I started to think and to introduce those new ideas in Latvian judge society that we should maybe change this approach, and I prepared a constitutional complaint stating that I should protect my fundamental rights to be to join a political party, to be an active political active in politics, and my arguments were that I would like to join a political party. I see that a discussion in society so in this discussion in society, political parties and to be a member of political party and to express their thoughts and views is something bad. And I couldn't accept it because everyone, and that was my concept of this constitutional complaint, was that everyone has his own political thoughts. He is active in a kitchen, how to organize the public transport, how to organize public administration. That means everyone is politically active. There is no so-called neutral states. There are no neutral members of society. So, and actually I wanted to join a political party, but then if I should do this, I would breach the law. And this would be the ground for a disciplinary proceeding and to terminate my duties of a judge. So I wrote an application that I would like to join a political party. This, according to the law, this is banned. This is not allowed. Please review this case and solve this conflict of norms according to the Constitution. Constitutional Court, the first day they sent me back saying that your constitutional complaint is not well grounded. So I added some arguments, maybe explained a little bit more, and sent it once again. The Constitutional Court initiated the case, and then we had a public hearing. We discussed those arguments, and I lost this case. We are 7 judges in Constitutional Court, so all 7 judges were not in favor for me. So we have this ban still now. But based on this situation, first of all, constitutional complaint is an instrument how to protect fundamental rights. We have in Latvia so-called German model, but only partly. That means that constitutional complaint you cannot submit against the decision of a court decision. So Urteilsverfassungsbeschwerde we don't have. We have a constitutional complaint against the law, so legal norm. That means that our workload is less, like comparing with a German constitutional court, federal constitutional court. The procedure model is, I would say, the same. So first of all, each application should be reviewed and accepted or dismissed by the collegium of 3 judges. If all 3 judges are in favor, then the case is initiated. Then the criteria is that there could be an infringement of a fundamental right stipulated in our constitution, or if it's not set in our constitution, then also in international treaties or European Convention of Human Rights. This infringement should be direct, concrete, so specified. You cannot submit actio popularis. The main point in my case was the problem that the law set a clear ban. So therefore, I couldn't use the ordinary way how to protect my fundamental rights, so submit an application to administrative court or civil court, using the court system. This allows for the Constitutional Court to solve the cases quite quickly, and for a private person not to use ordinary court system or administrative court system where ordinary courts or administrative court cannot do anything against the clear provisions of the law. But the main point or problem in my case was that I should prove when my infringement of my fundamental rights had happened. So the problem is that if I couldn't prove it because that was just my intention to join the political party. If in ordinary way to prove that this infringement, I should breach the law, but that would be unlogically. To push the private person to breach the law, to show the infringement of the fundamental rights. And our constitutional court said, this infringement will happen somehow in the future. And we have a concept, according to the jurisprudence of Constitutional Court, that infringement could be not only happen somewhere in the past, but could be also in the future. If the future or the normal order, if the people will act in a normal way, then this infringement will happen. And then we have a discussion how to prove it, how to decide about the future infringement, because the future, we never know what happened after the 5 seconds. How we can prove what will happen after 1 month or 1 year. But yes, so we have this concept of the future infringement of a fundamental right, when due to ordinary course of life there will be an infringement. But sometimes it's so that the future infringement of the fundamental right actually is actual infringement of the fundamental right. For example, we I think at the very beginning of this year, the Parliament adopted the new law which said that there will be, after 5 years, there will be ban to organize mink production, mink farms. And then is the question, when the infringement had happened? Now, by adopting this law, by coming into force this law, so that I should organize my business in a way that after 5 years I should end up my activities, or the infringement will just come after 5 years. And I would say, actually, this is an actual infringement, not in the future, because I should organize my life now. Why it's important and how it has an impact on our procedure. The problem is how to count the time limit for submission of the constitutional complaint, because also like in other procedural laws we have a limitation that the constitutional complaints should be submitted in a specific period of time, 6 months, counting 6 months starting from the moment of infringement. But if it's a so-called infringement in the future, then according to our jurisprudence of the Constitutional Court, there is no term. That means that if we think that using this example was a restriction of the mink farms, if this will happen after 5 years, then all those 5 years, and counting the 6 months after the very end of the term, there will be a possibility to submit a constitutional complaint. That of course is not okay for legal security, for a parliament also to understand, will be there the constitutional complaints against the law or not? Will the law challenged before the Constitutional Court or not? Speaking about the constitutional complaint in general, this of course makes a significant workload of our Constitutional Court, because I think 90% of all applications are constitutional complaints. we have these two ways, two subject matters. What we deal with fundamental rights issues, so the disputes on the breaches of the fundamental rights, and the second branch is to disputes between parts of the constitutional organs, institutions, so President of the State, Parliament, government, and also we have this abstract control too. We use by the constitutional complaint, each individual, each private person may protect. This is an instrument how to protect the fundamental rights. This is how we can develop jurisprudence and doctrine on different issues. We can interpret the fundamental rights in Latvia. This gives also for individuals the way how they could protect their positions before the parliament, before the acts of the parliament. Of course, normally the person should use the ordinary way and instruments how to protect the infringed rights, using the application to the court, to the administrative court, appeal, cassation, and only then is a way, possibility to submit a constitutional complaint. But also, the other way is to submit a constitutional complaint when the law directly infringe the right. The next one issue, what I would like to tell you is interesting. It's our development of our instrument of the constitutional complaint. So I mentioned that we decide the disputes between parts of constitutional institutions. And we had a case where the member of the parliament was under the criminal charge, and according to the internal order of the parliament, which is which is also an act of the parliament, so a law adopted by the parliament, but by the substance internal order, he cannot participate and use the rights coming from the mandate of the member of the parliament. So he couldn't he couldn't participate in the sittings of the parliament. He couldn't participate in the sittings of the committees to express his or her meaning. So the ideas from in the parliament and so on. And the competence of the member of the parliament is actually not a fundamental right, but public competence coming from the mandate of the position of the member of the parliament. But we have a problem in Latvia that we don't have a right that individual member of the parliament cannot bring an application to constitutional court to solve those tensions between constitutional institutions and parts of the constitutional institutions. So we adopted that according to the idea of constitutional procedure law, there should be an instrument how to protect the mandate, the rights esteem coming from the mandate of member of the parliament. And the closest instrument is the constitutional complaint. However, constitutional complaint is an instrument how to protect fundamental right. So this is our approach how to solve the deficit of procedural law, how to act according to the idea of the law, but not according maybe to the wording of the law. There are some discussions in our society. Should we allow this full control, like in a German model, to allow also submit constitutional complaints against the decisions of the courts when in the court procedure are some breaches or wrongful application of the law actually. But no, normally we are 7 judges, and that would be a big problem how to handle those applications. And so the mistakes made in an application process of the law in ordinary courts, that is not our business, we would say. However, sometimes when we saw a wrongful application, very wrongful application of the law, we take the case, then end the proceeding by the decision, but not a judgment, but a decision to end up the proceeding and express our interpretation of the law, which is binding for ordinary courts and administrative court. For example, we had a situation where private person wanted, she receives a lot of demand, so the creditors demanded from her to pay bill. And according to the jurisprudence of our civil courts, there is no infringement of the civil right because this is just a demand to pay the bill. But she wanted that the court said that, no, I'm not your debitor. Just to, like in an administrative law, to fix the legal relationships between us. And according to the jurisprudence of our civil court, it's not possible because there is no infringement, real infringement of the subjective rights. So she submitted an application to the Constitutional Court stating that the legal lacuna in a civil procedure law, according to the jurisprudence of Supreme Court, Civil Law Chamber, that there is no such a claim, the type of the claim infringes her rights on fair trial, I think that was. And we said, according to our interpretation of the civil procedure law, that everyone may protect his or her infringed subjective rights. According to our interpretation, such an instrument there is in a civil procedure law that was against the jurisprudence of Supreme Court, and we ended up the proceeding without judgment. But this decision is binding. The argumentation is binding for the civil courts, and nowadays this problem caused by the jurisprudence of Supreme Court is solved. So constitutional complaint is also a mechanism how to solve, I would say not a wrongful application of the law, but maybe how to constitutional court can give an interpretation how to better protect the rights of in a society of an individual. And that was also the case where we used also an expert opinion from Estonia, Madis, that was about the how to protect the rights of the member of local government when the member of local government cannot execute his public competences in a local government. So something comparable with if he would be a member of the parliament. So there was a situation where the member of local government couldn't get an information needed for his to use the competence as a member of a local government. And according to the decisions of the Supreme Court Administrative Law Chamber, this is an internal dispute. This is a dispute which is not in the competence of administrative court. And we said, yes, according to the wording of administrative procedure law, the administrative courts should solve the disputes between private persons and the state, so the private person and the public authority. But in this case, the member of local government and the local government, they are like two parts of public authority. But still, there is no procedural way how to solve this conflict of competences. Therefore, the closest way is to solve in an administrative court according to the administrative procedure law. This is how we solve in Latvia and how we are proactive those questions. Also using a procedure of constitutional complaint where we can say something more about fundamental rights and not to keep only in limits set by formal limits set by wording of the procedure law.
Thank you.
I think there will be a lot of questions regarding this.
But we
I'm
have
very
a
open
little
to
time
discuss.
limit, and so we follow the procedure we had previously. If there is any question, one to submit, yeah, please.
First of all, thank you very much. My question is, if these days the head of police department of Latvia submits similar claim to the constitutional court, he wants to be a member of a party. So what would be your decision, and what is the main criteria for this decision making?
We have a ongoing procedure where the member of military service wants to join a political party. I cannot say the answer. However, you can feel what I think. That I think that everyone is politically active. But yes, so that would be decided in a constitutional court, I think. I don't see there a big problem. Of course, there are contra-arguments that the members of so-called those structured military police, they should stay away from political parties. But actually, let me compare how we think and how we look on problems. And this was also in our jurisprudence, we broke that approach. So starting at the very end of 90s, from one side, we say those persons who are some years ago convinced under the criminal charge, so who served the sentence in prisons, they should be banned from the different positions in society, from police, from as a judges. They cannot serve. They also cannot be as a so different positions. But on the other hand, other side, the state said, "Oh, we should re-socialize them." But then, how it comes together? From one side, so idea of re-socialization, And from the other side, that we ban those persons from our social life and different positions in our life, positions in civil service and state administration. So our constitutional court, that there could be a different approach, so a more individual approach, and we clashed those bans at all. So this is our approach on the answer on this problem.
Thank you, Jānis. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
our time pressure is clear. We learn your approach, but the Constitutional Court might be different view, might have different view. Now we will have, vabandust, lähen eesti keele üle. Et järgmine esineja on meil Ivo Pilving, Riigikohtu halduskolleegiumi esimees ja ülikooli kaasprofessor, ja tema on sõnastanud oma ettekande tõu puhtus põhiseaduslikkuse järelevalves, kui spetsialiseerunud peab olema põhiseaduskohtunik. Eks kuulame.